Oh man, it has been a rough 2 weeks.
This book is a little bit of Christian missionary propaganda.
And he perhaps is based upon a well-known literary figure, or perhaps even a historical figure.
Now, Didymus is simply the Greek word for twin. It's also used as the Greek word for testicles, for obvious reasons. There are usually two of them.
She kissed them.
Your fruit shall be without root, and your shoots shall be dried up like a branch scorched by a strong wind.
How many of you find this child Jesus an adorable, little, cute little baby? Nobody? Good.
I sprinkled my body with the bathwater that his mother had used to wash him off, and in that instant I was healed.
Greetings, fellow worker slaves, podcasting at 128 kilobits from the Fortress of Squalitude, located not far from the Redneck Mecca. This is the Atheist in the Trailer Park podcast. I'm your host, Tucker. Professor Fuzznuts is curled up in my lap. Ash, Buddha, and Lord Squeakington are in my room. Yes, it's a podcast hosted by a guy and his cats. Get over it. And this is, for however long it will be, I don't know, a Gnostic text episode where Hertzie and I read a smidge, I guess you could say, from the Acts of Thomas. I don't know how long it'll be. Don't worry, the next episode is going to be very much longer. You see, Hertzie and I just kind of got bored and said, fuck it. When we got into this, because it just got weird. And I'd had a rough couple of days before we recorded this, and then I had some rough days after this. I will explain. Okay, so the Thursday before we recorded this episode, I got the rather stunning news that a longtime friend of mine had unexpectedly passed away. Ostensibly the cause of death was old age. She was 71, but she had been under a lot of stress recently and had lost her longtime partner of, 40 years, 30, 40 years, something like that. So that may have been the contributing factor, and unfortunately I did not know the stress that she was having to undergo, and had I known that, I might have been able to help her out a bit. She was having financial problems, because this is America, and that's the way we do things. We make the elderly suffer. We make everybody who's not in the 1% suffer. So that was pretty much a bummer. And then Friday, I got home from work, flicked on the ceiling fan in the living room, and it promptly started spitting out sparks. Not good. So, and especially since that's the only source of illumination right now in the living room. So, I cut it off, figured out that it was just the motor that had gone bad. So, when Tasha got home from wherever she'd been, I got her to give me a ride to Walmart so we could buy a replacement fan. It was too late to put in the day to put it in, but at least I had it. So, Hertzie and I cut the episode that night. Then Saturday, I got up and spent all day replacing the ceiling fan. The new one's there, looks fine. It's just, I was cursing the engineers who designed that thing when I was putting it together, because it really was just not designed for people who have to put them up. You know, they designed it, but whoever designed it is not somebody who puts things together, because they wouldn't have done some of the stuff that they did. I don't believe. Like, there's a huge mass of wires inside it that should have been really short, because all you're doing is plugging the light kit into the fan, and you don't need like a foot of wiring to do that. Then once you get that there, you have to coil it all up, and then you have to orientate it the right way. And one of the problems I ran into is when I'm putting in the new ceiling fan, is they expect you to reuse the screws from the old one to mount it. And I lost one. So I had to go to the store, buy a box of screws, come back, get the whole thing mounted and ready to go. And it worked beautifully the first time I flipped the switch. It's quieter than the old one. It has one more blade, and the lights are a lot brighter. So, yay, positive there. And I was just too worn out from spending basically all day fucking with that thing to edit the podcast that Hertzie and I recorded. It'll be a deal, right? I've got Sunday off. I can edit it in and post it. I woke up Sunday morning to a text message from the boss that says, "Oh, by the way, we need you to work Sundays again." Gee, thanks. And so I went in and, I figured, well, that'll be, 12 to 4. That won't be so bad. Nope. I spent 8 hours there. It's like, oh, and I mean, we had to work. So I get off, it's too late, I'm too tired, I go to bed. Same situation rolls around Monday, too busy, all day, won't work, tired. And I have various things that come up during the week. And I'm like, okay, so my plan, Friday, Hertzie and I will record the next episode, and then Saturday, I'll get it edited and, get the first episode edited and posted, and then do the second one. Not quite. See, I have had this pretty big craving for gyros. There's no Greek restaurants near me, and I haven't had a decent gyro in I don't know how long. So I was like, well, I've made them before. It's not too terribly difficult. I'll go see if I can get the lamb at the store, and if I can, then I'll make them. So go store. Hey, one store go to actually has lamb. So I get that, get other stuff on my list, get home, start working on everything, and then I realize, fuck, I forgot some things, so I have to go all the way back to the store and get some more stuff, get it all done. And I mean, I didn't finish cooking it because I started a little late, and it took me a little longer than I thought. And I also went a little hog wild because I'm like, fuck it, if I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make tabbouleh as well. And what really fucked me was I got the tabbouleh, I got the wheat to make the tabbouleh, and it's like, oh, you have to soak this for an hour before you can make anything with it. Oh, crap. So that added time to it. Even though, it was soaking while I was making the other stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, Sunday rolls around. I'll go to work. Hopefully only put in 4 hours. And then I'll be able to edit the first episode, post it, come home Monday night, and edit the second episode and post that. No, we spent another 8 hours because one of the guys on second shift showed up drunk again. And so it's like, we're not going anywhere. If he'd have been sober, we could have been out of there in 4 hours. But he wasn't, so we couldn't, and we weren't. So today at work wasn't too terribly bad, and now I'm editing the first episode. If tomorrow's not too bad, I'll edit the second episode and post that. But I guarantee you this introduction, no matter how boring you may find it, is probably more interesting than the stuff that we had with the Acts of Thomas. And both Hertzie and I were kind of tired and loopy when we started recording, so that's one of the reasons why we bailed on it. Oh, the other thing I forgot that I did on Saturday that also hampered me. I got my second COVID shot. I am now fully vaccinated, and in about 2 weeks I will be fully immunized. And the side effect for this shot, for me, is fatigue. Well, an arm soreness, but it's not really significant. It doesn't, I had them jab me my left arm, so that was no big deal for the arm being sore, since I don't use that one all that much. But it was nice. They did it at work, so I didn't have to go as far as I did the last time to get it. And the people giving the injection, it was a man and a woman. They were both Asian. Very nice, very happy, very cheerful people. I was kind of surprised. I didn't figure they'd be very, they'd just sort of be blasé, like, here you are, take it and go. The funniest thing, though, was they were surprised because I was, I guess, about the fifth person there. And, they saw my vaccination card that I'd gotten the first dose, and it just coincidentally happened that they were giving the dose at work this time on the day I needed to get my second dose. The guy looks at the card and he goes, "Oh, wow, you've already had your first dose? That's great." And it was Moderna, which is what they were giving us at work. And I said, yeah, but I'll take it, all of them, any of them. And he's like, "Oh, hold on, I'll get the vial." like he was just going to shoot me up with the entire vial. But yeah, that was good. And I guess that's it for right now. It's getting kind of late, and I still have to edit all the stuff for this episode. So here's the thing with me and Hertzie reading parts of Acts of Thomas. Hopefully it'll improve as it goes along, and we don't have too much left to go in this book, so hopefully the next one will be better. I doubt it, but you never know.
See, how would we say this in Catholicism? I can't remember. Basically, you just from the Acts of Thomas. Now Cypher stood before the king, and he inquired of him, "Who is that sorcerer, and whence, and what teacheth he, whom thou hast lurking in thy house?" Okay, if he's a lurking sorcerer, that's a fucking warlock. I will D&D this.
Or at least a stalker.
Well, I mean, yeah, that too. But I mean, I'm going with the stats here.
Okay.
They've got a decent stealth. My guess is it's probably more of a warlock rogue class, multi-class.
Okay.
And Cypher answered the king, "Thou art not ignorant, O king, what trouble and grief I, with my friends, had concerning my wife, whom thou knowest, and many others remember, and concerning my daughter, whom I value more than all my possessions, what a time and trial I suffered. For I became a laughing stock and a curse in all the country. He's not answering the question.
Oh, it gets worse, I'm sure.
Oh, of course it will, but it's one of those, it's like, just answer the question. And I heard the report of this man, and went to him, and entreated him, and took him, and brought him hither. The sorcerer, or somebody else?
Wouldn't you like to know?
And as I came by the way, I saw wonderful and amazing thing, and here also many did hear the wild ass, and concerning that devil whom he drove out, and healed my wife and daughter, and now are they whole. So wait, he's talking about Jesus? That's the only thing I could think of.
Well, sure, why not?
But I was gonna say, but isn't this after the ascension?
Something like that.
And he asked no reward, but requiredeth faith and holiness. Okay, definitely Jesus. That man should become partakers with him in that which he doeth, in that which he doeth. Ugh. And this he teacheth, to worship and fear one God, the ruler of all things, and Jesus Christ his son. So it's not Jesus, but it's some other person who's running around. WTF. We still haven't figured out who this person is, aside from the fact that obviously Thomas likes him.
Well, who doesn't like wild ass?
Womp womp. That they may have eternal life. And that which he eateth is bread and salt, and his drink is water from the evening until evening. What, you don't want anything else? Tea, coffee, I guess back then, wine.
Coffee, tea, or me? I'm sorry.
And he maketh many prayers, and whatsoever he asketh of his God he giveth him. And he teacheth that this God is holy and mighty, and that Christ is living and maketh alive. And still have not talked about this, and we're about half a sentence away from the end.
Yep.
Wherefore also he chargeth them that are there present to come unto him in holiness and purity and love and faitheth.
And, gosh, we're only on the second fucking paragraph of this piece of shit. And when Misdaius, the king, heard these things of Sifor, he sent many soldiers unto the house of Sifor, the captain, to bring Thomas the apostle, and all that were found there. And they that were sent entered in, and found him teaching much people, as opposed to many people, which would seem to be grammatically correct. And Macedonia sat at his feet, and when they beheld the great multitude that were about him, they feared, and departed to their king, and said, We durst not say aught unto him, for there was a great multitude about him, and Macedonia, sitting at his feet, was listening to the things that were spoken by him. And when Misdaius the king and Charisius heard these things, Charisius leaped out from before the king, and drew much people with him, as opposed to many people, and said, I will bring him, O king, and Macedonia, whose understandeth he hath taken away. And he came to the house of Sifor the captain, greatly disturbed, and found him, Thomas, teaching. But Macedonia he found not, for she had withdrawn herself unto her house, having learnt that it had been told her husband that she was there. This is giving me a migraine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have we figured out who the sorcerer is? Because I can't tell which way is up at some points during this.
Nope.
Ugh. Oh, like I know you said it one way, but
Say it however you want. Don't nobody know.
and Charius. I'm sorry. Charius said unto the apostle, which apostle? Up, thou wicked one. Whoa, wait. I thought Charius was the good guy.
Not anymore.
You can't have somebody switch from a good guy to a bad guy without anything in between. No. Bad writing. No biscuit. Charius said up unto the apostle. Well, wait. Is Charius the good guy or is he... nope. I am not going to follow this narrative. It doesn't matter. Up, thou wicked one and destroyer, and enemy of mine house, for me thy sorcery harmeth not. For I will visit thy sorcery on thine head. And when he so said, the apostle looked upon him and said unto him, Thy threatenings shall return upon thee. For me thou wilt not harm any whit. For greater than thee and thy king and all your army is the Lord Jesus Christ, in whom I have my trust. And see, this is why I say they're a warlock. Because warlock, you have to have somebody who's basically like a sponsor. A sorcerer, all of their magic comes from themselves. So basically Christianity is nothing but a bunch of warlocks.
Okay.
And I'm going to be canceled. By Christianity. All right,
Hey, there are worse things that could have happened to you.
we'll see how this goes. All right, what he said. Oh, crap. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Your army is the Lord Jesus Christ, in whom I have my trust. And Charius took a kerchief, or turban, of one of his slaves, rude, and cast it about the neck of the apostle, saying, Hail him and bring him away. Yeah, it would have to be a turban. I have kerchiefs, and those are not very big. Let me see if his God is able to deliver him out of my hands. And they hailed him and led him away to Midias, the king. Well, then he is out of your hands. You had him. Why would... No. Fine.
Don't ask questions. Just roll with it. It'll make sense when you're dead.
When I'm dead, it better be as dreamless as my sleep. And the apostle stood before the king, and the king said to him, Tell me who thou art, and by what power thou dost do his things. I already told you he's a warlock. But the apostle kept silent, because now he decides to be silent. Sure, Jan. And the king commanded his officers, aka subjects, that he should be scourged with 128 or 150 blows. That's just rude.
Don't promise me a good time and not deliver.
Yeah, you're going to have to talk to the king about that one. And bound and be cast into the prison. And they bound him and led him away. And the king and Charius considered how they should put him to death, for the multitude worshipped him as a god. Which, isn't that supposed to be an affront to God?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Alright, and they had it in mind to say, the stranger hath reviled the king and is a deceiver.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if this crowd worships him the same way QAnon worships Q, I mean...
And Trump. They worship Trump.
Oh, and Trump. Yes, but if they worship him anywhere close to that, ain't nothing gonna get get them away from him.
You are not wrong.
There are days I wish I was.
Ditto. But the apostle went unto the prison, rejoicing and exulting, and said, I praise thee, Jesus, for that thou hast not only made me worthy of faith in thee, but also to endure much for thy sake. And how do I wish it was for thy sake.
Wait, what?
Hey. Are you going to try and tell me Jesus is better than sake?
Oh, no, and I'm not a big fan of sake.
Okay, then. I give thee thanks, therefore, Lord, that thou hast taken thought for me and given me patience. I thank thee, Lord, for that for thy sake I am called a sorcerer and a wizard. Quick question. Have you ever seen the Ralph Bakshi movie Wizards?
Nope.
Okay, we'll have a talk about that at some point. Receive thou me, therefore, with the blessing. I'm going to skip that Syrian bullshit. Of the poor. Yeah, okay. We'll throw dirt on you because that's all we got. And of the rest of the weary. And of the blessings of them whom men hate, and persecute, and revile, and speak evil words of them. For lo, for thy sake I am hated. Lo, for thy sake I am cut off from the many. And for thy sake they call me such an one as I am not. Boy, they Englished good in that. Uh-oh. I've killed...
Nope, I'm here.
I was worried you had a stroke or something and I'd killed you.
I do not smell toast.
108.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, okay, does this like go into this weird... Oh, cool, this goes into a weird thing. Cool.
Yeah. When you're about to vomit, let me know and I'll pick up slack.
The problem is I was gonna say the problem is I like to talk, so I'll probably go through all of it.
That's fine. You can skip the stuff in italics if you wanna. If not, you can read it.
Cool. Gosh, this reminds me of some of the psalms that we used to sing when I was in back when I was in Catholic church and all.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I was raised Lutheran and y'all's heathen.
Yeah, well, we had a guy and he liked some of the older stuff and it sucked.
Oh, I bet it did.
Yeah, you had to hold like one note while you say like a whole bunch of words, and then you switch notes for like 2 or 3 words, and then you go back to a different note, and then you go back to the original note.
Yeah, we just made you hold the one note for the whole thing.
Either way, WTF.
Exactly.
All right. And as he prayed, all the prisoners looked on him and besought him to pray for them. And when he had prayed and was set down, did they pick him up? He began to utter a psalm in this wise. Oh, hey, it is a psalm. Here follows the Hymn of the Soul, a remarkable composition, originally scripted in Syriac, and certainly older than the Acts, with which it has no real connection.
So, in other words, it's probably older than Christianity itself. Ooh.
Well, I mean, technically the Psalms are older than Christianity themselves. They're in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
We have it in Greek in one manuscript, the Evolution, and the paraphrase of the Nicetas of Thessalonica, found edited by Bonnet.
And one of those is close to the name of a disease.
Well, it's definitely not Bonnet.
Nope, Thessalonica.
Ah.
There's a disease that is something Thessalona. Anyways, it's this weird disease that one of my relatives has. It's genetic, and I'm have similar symptoms, but I lack certain genetic markers to indicate that I have it. So,
Oof.
yeah.
Well, hopefully it never develops.
Well, no, I can't get it because I don't have the right genetic markers. I just have certain symptoms that are semi-related to it.
Well, in that case...
Yay.
Yeah, I was going to say, in that case, go genetics.
Yeah.
All right. When I was an infant child in the palace of my father, resting in wealth and luxury of my nurturers, then why would you leave? Out of the East, our native country, my parents provided me and sent me.
Oh,
Oh.
hold up. Okay, first of all, slight mistake. It's provisioned me and sent me.
Oh, okay, I see.
And second of all, are you familiar with the mythological origins of the Buddha?
Oh, little bit.
Right? So he was this prince in India, had everything at his disposal, and it was only when he was out wandering around amongst the common people and saw a poor person that he realized, hey, shit's fucked up. And there are a number of people who say that Jesus was influenced by Buddhist missionaries in that part of the world at that part of the time. Don't know if that's true or not, but this would kind of lead credence to some of that. You know what I'm saying? Because we have, I mean, the deal with Buddha was when he was born, somebody, a psychic or whatever they called them, showed up and said, oh yeah, he's going to be a great religious leader and an ascetic. And of course the king was like, ain't no boy of mine going to be like that. And so he basically put Buddha in this very lavish and elaborate lifestyle. And it was only when Buddha said, hey, I want to take a trip here, and walked out the royal grounds that he saw poor people and said, nope, we got to do something about this. So, with all the vulgarities of this particular document, there could be a clue that maybe there actually was some Buddhist influence on Christianity in the early years. Or maybe I'm just pulling shit out of my ass.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised. If you look at the Viking trade route stuff that was going on back in the day, they went all the way to Asia. There has been Buddha statues and stuff found in graves.
Oh, yeah, the Vikings, they,
And it's one of those, like, if the Vikings were able to get that far, it's a no-brainer that the Middle East would be able... The Middle East should definitely be able to go all the way.
Yeah, because there's some really deep, obscure places in Russia that the Vikings had big trading outposts in. And not as easy to get to as, say, from one point on the Mediterranean Sea to another point. So, yeah. All right. Violate our consciousness with the next parts.
And of the wealth of those, their treasures that they put together, put a load both great and light, that I might carry it alone. Gold is the load of them that are above, or of the land of the Elasians or Galatians, and silver of the greatest treasures, or of Garazak the Great and stones.
I think it's Gazek, and
Oh,
that sounds like some really pathetic shot jock.
yeah. Chalcedonies from.
Yeah, that's good enough.
All right, from the Indians, and pearls from the land of the Hassani, or Kushan.
Probably Kush.
I was gonna say, it sounds like basically they sent him with a variety of different, monetary stuff. Gold is held higher than silver in some areas.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. And they armed me with adamant, which iron breaketh, and they took off from me, or put on me, the garment set with gems spangled with gold, which they had made for me because they loved me, and the robe that was yellow in hue, made for my stature. So, I'm confused by that.
Okay. We're not alone.
Cool. It sounds like they took the robe that was full of gems and gold and stuff, and then put him in a simpler robe.
Okay.
Which, I mean, would make more sense. I mean, you're sending somebody out to walk around, traveling from place to place in a whole bunch of jewels and stuff. Sounds like a really bad idea.
Yep. You're not wrong.
And they made me a covenant with me, and inscribed it on mine understanding that I should not forget it, and said, if thou goest down to Egypt, and bring back thence the one pearl which is there in the sea midst girt about by the devouring serpent, thou shalt put on again the garment set with gems, and that robe whereupon it resteth, which is therein, and became with thy brother that is next unto us, of the well remembered, and heir herald in our kingdom.
Yes. Harold be thy name. So God's name is Harold, right?
I mean, it's about as accurate as anything else.
Well, wouldn't you like a hairy god, or would you prefer him shaved?
I was going more for Harold, like Harlod. The name Harold.
Yeah, I know. As in, hark, Herald, the angel sings. I'll wait for you to get that one.
It's not going to happen.
It could be yours. It could be our father, Art. That's the name of God, Art, who art in heaven.
I was going to say, I actually know somebody who goes by Art. Good guy. But
Finish.
no, I was going to say, it's actually 109, so your turn.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, there's an Arthur C. Clarke story from the 50s or whatever, called The 9 Billion Names of God. Okay? So, these guys are hired by these Buddhist monks in Tibet, because the Buddhist monks are like, our goal is to write all the various names of God down, and when we do, the universe will end, and, whatever else will happen. So, the folks are like, okay, we'll build you a computer to enable you to figure all this shit out, because, they had a certain logic about the things. And the folks building the computer obviously know it's a scam. And, that they figure, once the computer spits out the information, the monks in Tibet think the universe will end, and the computer guys are like, nothing will happen. And the monks want the computer because otherwise, if they do it all by hand, it'll take them like 25,000 years, and they don't want to wait that long. So, the computer guy, the story ends. I'm guessing you don't mind spoilers?
Not from Arthur C. Clarke, because I don't plan on reading him.
Anyways, so the computer guys are like, all right, we've got the computer built, we've got the software written, let's get out of here because in about 10 minutes it's going to spit out the final result and we don't want to be around when they figure out it's all bullshit. Well, as they're boarding the plane to get out of Tibet, they look up at the sky and notice all the stars are starting to wink out. Meaning that they actually hit the right formula. And that there really was a God. And
No, that does track with Arthur C. Clarke being Mormon.
no, he was an atheist.
I thought he was Mormon.
Oh, no, my dear. Arthur C. Clarke was not only an atheist, he was a flaming homosexual. And I mean that in no way derogatory.
Wasn't he the one who... Oh, no, he's the one who did Space Odyssey, not Ender's Game.
Right. That was Orson Scott Card, who is a flaming Mormon, who is a racist, sexist, homophobic bigot, and will never get a dime from me.
Okay. So Arthur C. Clarke, at some point I might read, though admittedly, when it comes to the classic sci-fi, I've tried, and oftentimes I find it very dry.
Clarke is one of those people that really depends on which work of his you're going with. Have you watched 2001?
Nope.
Okay. Doesn't matter. That's not really an ideal example of his work. Are you a fan of Morgan Freeman?
Ish.
Okay. Morgan Freeman has been desperately trying and failing for reasons I can't quite fathom to bring one of Arthur C. Clarke's novels to the big screen. That novel is Rendezvous with Rama, which is set basically like 100 years from now in this alien space. It's a colony ship with people in suspended animation passes through our solar system. It's a really interesting read. Morgan Freeman is getting a little long in the tooth to play any characters in the film. But if you like him and you have respect for him, you might like that book. And there's a good Audible version of it if you're an Audible member.
I am not.
Okay. But there's audiobook versions, and I'm sure you know how to find it by alternative means.
Or I could just get the book.
Yeah. Rendezvous with Rama is a really good book. 2001, 2010, they're good. Let me ask you a question. Did you see the movie The Martian?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you saw the previews for The Martian and said, I wouldn't like this, you might not like a lot of Arthur C. Clarke's work.
I honestly don't even remember the trailers.
Well, I mean, it's got Matt Damon, so not...
Oh, is that the one where he goes off to Mars and then he gets...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Matt Damon is not who I pictured in that role because I'd read the book long before the movie was ever done. Book's better. Movie still worth watching, in my opinion. You can disagree. I don't care. It's one of those things.
I was gonna say it's hard for me to agree or disagree since I haven't seen either, and
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, not high on my list right now.
No, that's fine. It's one of those things. It's like, potato, right? We disagree, and neither one of us thinks anything bad about the other because it's just one of them there things. It's not like, well, you disagree with this, so obviously you're a genocidal maniac, or you like this and you're a genocidal maniac. I'm just going to start with 109 again. I'll sort this out in post, which is a horrible nightmare. And I came out of the east by a road difficult and fearful, with 2 guides, and I was untried in traveling by it. That makes no goddamn sense. And I passed by the borders of the Mosani, Myashin, where is the resort of the merchants of the east, and reached the land of the Babylonians, and the of Sarbug walls unto came. What the fuck does that even mean? What the hell is a Sarbug? And what the hell's the grammar in this shit?
Well, I think the Sarbug walls are a specific kind of walls.
Well, yeah, but...
I mean, granted, there's only so much you can do with wall technology.
Yeah.
And it's very easily defeated by ladders.
Apparently it has something to do with the Hymn of the Pearl, which I'm not going to look up right now, and I will remember this later. Literally. Okay? And I wish I could find the article on this. I saw it 10, 20 years ago. Okay? There was this archaeological expedition in Iran, and they found this ancient city that, of course, had really thick walls and all that shit because that's what you had to do way back when. And the city had been destroyed, they realized, by an army mainly armed with slingshots. And when I say slingshots, I mean, the old David and Goliath type where you're spinning the thing above your head and then letting it go so it fires the pellet in the appropriate direction. Mm-hmm. And whomever the attackers were of this city, they had gone so far as to not merely use ordinary rocks in their slingshots, but they had taken a special kind of clay, made it into balls, and fired it. So it was particularly hard to smash the walls of that city. Yeah, okay.
I was going to say, it just reminds me of Lord of the Rings, where they use the broken parts of their buildings in their own trebuchets.
Okay, we'll skip that. But when I entered into Egypt, the guides left me, which had journeyed with me. And I set forth by the quickest way to the serpent, and by his hole, bow chicka wow wow, I abode, watching for him to slumber and sleep, that I might take my pearl from him. Snakes don't have pearls. And
hey, don't tell a snake what they can and cannot wear.
And as much as I was alone, and made mine aspect strange, and appeared as an alien to my people. And there I saw my kinsman from the east, the freeborn, a lad of grace and beauty, a son of princes, or an anointed one. He came unto me, bow chicka wow wow, and dwelt with me. Oh yeah, no, there's some hot gay sex going on here. And I had him for a companion, and made him my friend and partaker, in my journey or merchandise. Yep, hot gay sex, nothing wrong with it, but just let's be open about it, guys, okay? And I charged him, rather than giving him credit, to beware of the Egyptians and of partaking of those unclean things, which would be what? The Egyptians were really fastidious when it came to cleanliness. I mean, they would shave literally all the hair off their body, or concerning with those unclean men. And I put on their raiment, lest I should seem strange, as one that had come from without to recover the pearl, and lest the Egyptians should awake the serpent against me. Right, okay, dude, if you haven't shaved your hair on your head, your eyebrows, your eyelashes, and anywhere else you might have hair, they're going to think something's up. But I know not by what occasion they learned that I was not of their country. 'Cause you left your eyebrows intact? And with guile they mingled me. God damn it, English is my first language. And with guile they mingled for me a deceit, and I tasted of their food. And I knew no more that I was a king's son, and I became a servant under their king. So what was so bad about their food? And I forgot also the pearl for which my fathers had sent me, and by means of the heaviness of their food, I fell into a deep sleep.
Food coma.
Works for me.
I mean, I love a good food coma. I don't know about anybody else.
If you don't, I don't want to know you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sushi food coma.
Oh.
There's something that is just both... it's amazing, because with the sushi food coma, it's like both light and heavy at the same time.
Make you a deal. You read this next section and we'll put a fork in this puppy.
Sounds like a plan. But when this befell me, the food coma, they mean the food coma. And I mean, it's one of those, it's like, what, did you never have a food coma before?
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, if you're eating good stuff, food coma is awesome.
However, I mean, it may be that they didn't like, because not everybody likes the food from their wherever of birth, and this may be the first time that they had like really good and well spiced food.
Well, it's a Jew in India, so yeah, probably.
Actually, they probably.
Yes, certain ingredients in curry would not have been available to him.
However, there still would have been a version of curry, because curry, I mean, as a spice.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. All right. But when this food coma befell me, my fathers were aware of it. How the heck were they aware of it? They were like forever away. And grieved for me for a food coma? This person is dramatic AF.
Yes, ma'am.
I plan on going into a food coma after this, and this is ridiculous. And grieved for me, and a proclamation was published in our kingdom that all should meet at our doors. And then the kings of Parthia, and they that bear office, and the great ones of the east made resolve concerning me, that I shall not be left in Egypt. And the princes wrote unto me,
As soon as I can think of one for you.
I should not be left in Egypt. Well, that's nice of them. Yes, I guess we shouldn't leave you in Egypt.
Yeah.
And the
Well, yeah, no offense to Egyptians, but kind of a misogynistic country right now.
Well, I mean, But it's one of those where it's like, if you just, you're not just, if you have the ability, you're not just going to abandon your kid somewhere where they don't know what the heck they're doing.
True dat.
And the princess wrote unto me, signifying thus, and every noble signed his name to it. From thy father the king of the kings, and thy mother that ruleth the east, and thy brother that is the second unto us, unto our son that is in Egypt, peace. Rise up and awake out of sleep, and hearken unto the words of the letter, and remember that thou art the son of kings. Lo, thou hast come under the yoke of bondage. Remember the pearl for which thou was sent into Egypt.
Don't read the parenthesis. All
right. Remember that thy garment spangled with gold, and thee thyself shouldest thou wear which mantle glorious. Huh?
Exactly.
Thy name is named in the book of life, and with thy brother whom thou hast received in our kingdom.
Yeah, okay.
Those were words.
I'm not certain about that. I will not lay money on that concept.
No, I will lay money that they are words, and they are words in an order. That is the end of my sentence, of what I assert. Do they make sense? Oh, gods, no.
Yeah.
I think they're reminding him of his garment from before, but I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
Honestly, I don't even want to know. Because it's probably some kind of weird kink fetish that... it's fine, I'm consenting adults, but it's not something I need to know about. You know what I'm saying? I mean...
Except for that, I don't see where that would be... Like, if you're writing a note to try and get somebody out of a bad situation, the heck are you going to bring that up for?
Oh... I don't know. There's a whole lot of things. Like, why would you bring up the idea of chopping off the end of somebody's wiener? But they do.
Fair.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what this is going to turn out like with bullshit. The rest of it, because this was terrible. The text, not you.
I figured as much. I was like, out of all of the stuff that we have read, which I know is nothing compared to you and some of your other co-hosts, but oh dear God, I think this was the worst.
Yeah, and we're not even done with it, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I mean, but it needs to be out there, and people need to know this bullshit because, fuckers are killing one another over this kind of crap.
I know.
Oh, God.
That's it for this episode of The Atheist in the Trailer Park Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, as well as just about anywhere else podcasts can be found. Many of the episodes are also on YouTube. Follow the show on Twitter. @TParkAtheist is the show's Twitter handle. It's on Facebook at facebook.com/trailerparkatheist.com. If you happen to like the podcast, please rate it on iTunes. If you'd like to support the podcast, there's a donate button on the show notes page. You can support it via Patreon at patreon.com/TNTucker. Thanks for listening.
Say goodnight, Fuzz-Nuts.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
Damned cat.